Hello again. Welcome to another edition of Media Watch. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait,
I'm Bob Anthony.
And I'm Alan Singer.
educator, historian, Dr. Alan Singer, regular on Media Watch. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Singer. And we're doing this the Wednesday, August 27th, before our Monday air on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And we'll probably put it up on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, various, yeah, at least. Raymond's not with us, Raymond Peterson, because he's got some medical things he's got to deal with, and hopefully that will turn out fine and he'll be back with us soon. But if not, he'll heal well and then he'll be back with us. Being brought to you by the good graces of EVT Educational Productions and I guess Zoom's technology. The attempt to be a one-man rule autocratic king continues by the occupant of the White House. And so, folks, we're just going to kick the show off instead of not a real cold open, but Bob, cue up Governor Pritzker of Illinois, please, for us, because he's put it succinctly, and we think it's worth quoting.
Okay, let's see if I can do that really quick.
Mhm.
And for you, coming up now. And here we go.
Over the weekend, we learned from the media that Donald Trump has been planning for quite a while now to deploy armed military personnel to the streets of Chicago. This is exactly the type of overreach that our country's founders warned against. And it's the reason that they established a federal system with a separation of powers built on checks and balances. What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is un-American.
And indeed it is. And Governor Pritzker and folks at Media Watch are not the only ones who are finally sounding the big alarm bell loudly and clearly that this man is trying to turn this country into an autocratic dictatorship. Alan, you've got a quote from Liz Cheney somewhere in your files that I think would be worth quoting to our viewers because she puts it quite succinctly.
Well, again, Liz Cheney is a conservative Republican when that meant something. She was the former congressperson from Wyoming, and Trump helped her oust her from Congress because she supported his impeachment. This is what she said. This administration is not simply a different ideology. It is a coordinated authoritarian machine with the Supreme Court, the House, the Senate, and the executive pen all under its control. Stop being scared to fight dirty when the other side is fighting to erase the damn Constitution.
And yeah,
Now that says a lot because Liz Cheney is a Republican royalty. I mean, the daughter of a former vice president, Dick Cheney. So, this isn't some random Republican. She at one point had a lot of clout within the party. But as you just said, Alan, this is not the same party.
yeah, but she's correct, and we've been trying to say that for quite a while here on Media Watch. That this is not status quo. This guy, from the time he came down the escalator telling all the lies he did, was enamored of dictators and had been trying to emulate them. And now he's actually got a game plan. And the game plan is basically straight out of the 1930s playbook of Adolf Hitler. And we're going to try to run down a litany of all the things he's doing. But the obvious, of course, is what Governor Pritzker was talking about. He threw troops, federal troops, on the streets of Los Angeles, just like Hitler put brown shirts on the streets of Germany. And because the governor of California sued him, he realized that that's not basically the first place he should have started. So now he's done what he had the ability to do, put federal troops and National Guard, now armed National Guard, on the streets of Washington, D.C. He can do that because D.C.'s home rule law allows the president to federalize the city at his whim, and this guy's whim is to try to appear to be a law and order president. And so therefore he said, look at me, I'm putting troops to restore law and order in a crime-ridden city. Lie, lie, lie. The big lie playbook we talked about. DC's crime rate's been down at least 25% from the previous year. It's been down consistently since the pandemic spike, and it's lower than it was prior to the pandemic. That we know for a fact. But Alan, you have even more statistics that prove that this is a canard, because it turns out that he's calling out Chicago and Baltimore and DC and New York as Democratic run cities that are rampant with crime. All the statistics prove that no, all their crime rates have been coming down for the last 3 and 4 years since the pandemic rise. But this man has no semblance of understanding what truth is, and he loves the big lie. So the statistics that Pritzker called out in the news conference that we didn't run lengthily because we can quote some of the statistics ourselves, most of the crime rates that's spiking in this country are spiking in Republican red states. The highest numbers are in red states. He's not talking about putting federal troops into red states and red cities. Alan, give us the numbers of the highest crime rates cities, and where are they? Red states, aren't they?
7 of the 10 states with the highest homicide rates in the United States are led by Republican governors. Number 1, Mississippi. Number 2, Louisiana. Number 3, Alabama. But in the top 10, South Carolina, Arkansas, Missouri, and Tennessee. These are all top 10 crime states. Now, New York is interesting. New York State is considered one of the safer states in the country, with a crime rate that ranks 41st out of all 50 states. And its homicide rate is 3.04 homicides per 100,000 people, compared to Mississippi, which has 23.7 homicides per 100,000. Now, I did an estimated murder rate for New York City because that's what Trump is thinking of invading. I did the calculations using Meta AI.
Okay.
Okay. New York City's homicide rate this year, not this year, but the last year that was completed, was 4.65 homicides per 100,000 people. Too many, but it's less than 20% of the murder rate in Mississippi. Mississippi has 5 times as many murders per capita as New York City.
Okay, and that's a red state. Of course,
and he's not delivering the help, as Alan explained, to where it's needed. And we didn't run, like you said, Eric, the entire Pritzker video, where he goes on to say, Trump didn't call me. And then later in that same press conference, the mayor of Chicago says Trump didn't contact me. The police chief, Trump didn't contact. And Kathy Hochul here in New York State says, nope, no call from Trump. The local police chief in New York City, no call. So there's no cooperation here. It's just Trump saying what he wants to do. If he wanted to help law enforcement, talk to them.
Yeah. So this is part of the Big Lie Playbook, and it's part of the red shirt. What were those forces called in Germany, Alan? Remind me.
Okay. First, what happens is what Hitler did in Germany is they had his own private paramilitary civilian vigilante force, and they were called the brown shirt stormtroopers because that was their uniform. Trump is now proposing created a brown shirt type group in the United States, a vigilante force that is outside local government control. You know, Paul Krugman in his Subtract column now calls Donald Trump the crazy. This is worse than crazy.
Yeah, the bottom line is one way or another, I think he just gave Hegseth, alleged Secretary of Defense, that incompetent goon, an order to start training a group of super ready force in the National Guards across the country. Yeah, well, I don't understand how Hegseth can start training super in state National Guards. Don't the National Guard actually fall under the purview of the state?
Again, he's making the rules as he goes. He's going as far as he can until he gets pushed back.
Okay. All right. So this is another one of those things like, okay, I'm writing an executive order saying anybody that burns a flag is going to be thrown in jail for 1 year at least, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, Alan, you're the historian and constitutional expert. What's wrong with that executive order?
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled that burning the flag is a act protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. It's symbolic freedom of speech. And again, this is why the Pritzker piece was so important, Bob, because what Pritzker is saying is that these things, these actions, are unconstitutional and un-American. And act after act after act by Trump is unconstitutional and un-American.
Let's run down a few of those. Pull up your cheat sheet, Alan. Let's first of all, I know the First Amendment alone, he's got at least 10 gazillion violations of the First Amendment. First of all, you can back me up. Freedom of the press. We know he's attacking freedom of the press. What are some of the examples?
Well, again, freedom of the press is the First Amendment. And the founders of the nation incorporated freedom of the press as the First Amendment because they knew that that was the check on authoritarian rule.
Mm-hmm.
With Trump, he has sued CBS, Paramount. He has sued
ABC.
But now what he is accusing of NBC and ABC, and this is the quote, two of the worst, most biased networks in history, because they have bad stories about him. And he's demanding that the Federal Communications Commission revoke their broadcast license, which would essentially intimidate them into silence and freedom of press in the United States.
But the FCC would be in violation of the First Amendment if they tried to do what he wants them to do or suggest that he wants them to do, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's the FCC, right? They couldn't simply silence the networks. Trump isn't looking for a debate on the issue. He's looking to pull the license, and pulling the license shuts them down.
Right.
Takes them off the airwaves. And so what you have left are the OANs and the Newsmaxes of the world, giving, and we've said this before, they're not close to journalistic organizations by any stretch of reality.
So
part of the Trump strategy is to make the legal defense against his actions so expensive that people don't want to engage. What he's doing with the Federal Injustice Department and the FBI, which are headed by stooges, is they're launching investigations into his political enemies, like Lisa Cook, a governor of the Federal Reserve Board, like Letitia James, New York State's Attorney General. But he's also attacking his former allies like John Bolton and Chris Christie, because they had the audacity to criticize him.
Yeah, but so he is weaponizing the Justice Department. He is making the Justice Department his private police force. So basically, that's an overreach of the executive branch. And so he is now, because his Justice Department have been disregarding the laws of many of the courts, like the Abrego Garcia case, that immigration case, where the judge said, you need to bring him back. They fought against bringing him, they brought him back. Then They fought to get him released. They got him released. After he got released, they rearrested him, and they're threatening to send him to Uganda if he doesn't take a plea deal for pleading guilty to their trumped up charges about human trafficking, illegal immigrants. The case that they haven't brought any
They haven't even charged
charge
and
him.
proceeded with any type of trial. They just want to deport without anything.
Plead guilty to something that we haven't
Yes.
tried you on. Okay. So this is what I mean about the authoritarian dictatorial dictatorship that he is now, by his own executive orders to the Justice Department and to Homeland Security, because he's got ICE and Homeland Security on the immigration platform. So back to your scorecard, your cheat sheet.
Okay.
First Amendment, freedom of the press, freedom of
Expression.
freedom of expression, because he also jailed a bunch of students because they wrote stuff against the Israeli government's attack in Gaza, killing all those innocent civilians. So those people got arrested for deportation because they didn't have standing and he didn't like what they wrote. So freedom of expression denied there. No habeas corpus rights. Which amendment is habeas corpus? Is that first or fifth? One of those amendments in the first 10 Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
And so
Due process is fourth.
due process, habeas corpus, they're all in the same violation of the Constitution. And he's doing this out of the executive office, claiming that this is what the people want. Now, I don't know which one of you looked at the last poll, but Bob, what did you see about the last poll on how people thought about him on handling of immigration? I think it was 53% to 46% or something who said he was doing a lousy job. They didn't like his immigration policies.
And that's a shift. Even though I hate that it's so close. I mean, anybody with eyes shouldn't. I don't think this
but
percentage should be
more than 50% said no,
Yeah.
you're not doing a great job.
Yeah,
but it's
and that's a big shift. Yes.
still too high. On that cheat sheet, Alan.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, just list some of the actions, and then we'll try to put
Yes.
which violation it is.
Well, the annulments clause of the Constitution. The Trump and his family are personally profited from directives he is using as president to support family investments.
Oh, the emoluments clause. Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
Cryptocurrency. He keeps. Now, I think cryptocurrency is a Ponzi scheme. If that goes down, that's can create a Great Depression in the world, and he is promoting it.
He's trying to push it so he can get rich off of the Ponzi scheme. Yes.
Yeah. 3 letters. Is it FTX, the one that went down?
Mm-hmm.
Bankman-Fried. Yeah. Yes. I'm a tech guy, and I think that crypto is a Ponzi scheme. So yes, go ahead, Alan.
No, he's extorting money from colleges, law firms, and businesses to force them to kowtow to his directives, and he has no authority to enforce. But what happens is, again, he makes it so expensive to battle back that people just give in. He's been rewriting the past by forcing museums to remove exhibits he doesn't approve of. He doesn't like that they showed the Smithsonian show the horrors of slavery.
Oh, okay.
What are they supposed to show about slavery?
Oh, this is the attempt to rewrite the past.
Yes.
This is the whole Big Brother, Big Lie part of the autocrat's playbook. If you own the past, that means you own the present and the future. So you go back and you strip all the truth out of the historical documents, you make up your own history, and you force schools to teach that, which is what they're trying to do in Oklahoma right now, where they're giving teachers a litmus test if they come from New York because they don't want any woke New York actual teachers in their system, so they'll screen you out to begin with.
Oh, where no one's going there for half the salary and no union
Yeah.
protection.
But great nations own their history. Even
Yes.
Germany, they'll show you where Hitler's bunker was. I mean, they hate to talk about it, but it's there and they don't hide it. Where the Berlin Wall was.
Trying to whitewash it, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, yeah.
we've got these white supremacists running the government who are trying to erase anything that deals with the accurate history of this country. So
Yeah.
they want to tell you that the Native American have a great sign in the latest demonstrations. There are no illegals on stolen land.
That's true.
Well, in
Saw that
relation-
sign. I went, yeah, that's right. If you want to take your country back, the Native Americans have the first dibs on taking their country back because you stole it from them. Okay. So
Okay.
the people need to shut up and go back into their lizard holes.
Okay. Since we have a thick agenda today, we have about 6.5 minutes left.
So the first top of the show dealt with the hard push to autocracy that Donald Trump continues, and we have to call him out on it every show, every time, just like Liz Cheney's calling him out, just like Governor Pritzker is calling him out, just like a lot of other people are. And the Democratic Party needs to get out there in the streets and do a hell of a lot more than they're doing. And they need to do it in Congress so that that stuff can be documented in the halls of Congress. They need to be pushing back. Never mind if you can't try to force votes on stuff to make sure these people are on the record of trying to destroy the Constitution. They need to be doing that more often. But now we got to segue to the other craziness that's going on, and that's in the Middle East, the second bin of our show, which is exactly what we did last week. Again, top of the news. Bob, what was the latest death and destruction in Gaza that's so horrendous? I got some stuff that I need to quote, but just lead us off with the story.
Well, I mean, when I heard this the other day, I thought it was a repeat of the news from the last week when a tent full of journalists were missiled, bombed. And how many died there? 4 of them died that week. And so when I heard the news that 5 journalists and 40 other people were, a lot of other people were injured and killed in Gaza, doing their jobs in a location where IDF damn knew that journalists were. There had been a missile attack on a building, and the journalists went there to cover it and were on the external stairwell where they're always reporting from, and another missile hit that spot and took them out. Netanyahu calls it a tragic mishap. I've had it with Netanyahu. This is not a tragic mishap. They knew the journalists were there. I'm not taking any other explanation of that. As you can see, I'm a little upset because it's a repeat of what happened just a week ago. But Eric and Alan, I know you have more than that.
So one of the things that's scary is Hamas announced its willingness to accept a ceasefire that had been brokered by the United States and Qatar. Israel's response has been to step up its attack on Gaza City and to extend West Bank settlements. Now, the Israeli people are fed up with the Netanyahu government. 350,000 people protested in Tel Aviv's public plaza just this week, calling on the government to accept an agreement that would release hostages. But even strange, 36 rabbis were arrested in a demonstration in New York City and Washington, demanding that Netanyahu end the war. And over the last few weeks, as the report of mass killings has extended, 80 Orthodox rabbis signed an open letter, and these include the chief rabbis of Poland and Norway and the former chief of Ireland. And they said what Israel is doing is a violation of the Torah and Jewish traditions, which command Jews to feed the poor and hungry, to respect the sanctity of life and show mercy and compassion. And Netanyahu and that right-wing government continues. We have a Trump in as the Prime Minister of Israel.
Listen, we've got a problem in that the Israeli government keeps coming out with that line that you're saying, Bob. That was a mistake. That was a tragic accident. That wasn't supposed to happen. If it's not that, is we took out a Hamas camera that was spying on the IDF, and we didn't shoot down journalists deliberately, etc. Well, I'm going to tell you that the journalistic community globally is now so fed up with all these lies and all this stuff that it's now. I'm going to quote from a Peter Noel Facebook post that was made today, 27 August 2025. And basically, he's also been calling out the fact that the Israelis have been lying about this stuff. But I got to quote this because it's significant, because he's not only talking about himself, he's quoting another journalist. Let me get this clearly. This is from Peter Noel. My criticism of Israel resonates all the more in light of Canadian photographer Valerie Zink's bombshell resignation from Reuters. After nearly a decade of publishing work across Reuters, the New York Times, and Al Jazeera, she announced she could no longer carry the press pass of an outlet complicit in justifying and enabling Israel's assassination of 245 journalists in Gaza. She wrote, he's quoting, Western media is directly culpable for creating the conditions in which this can happen. As Jeremy Scahill from Dropsite News put it, and he's quoting Jeremy Scahill here, every major outlet from the New York Times to the Washington Post, from AP to Reuters, has served as a conveyor belt for Israeli propaganda, sanitizing war crimes and dehumanizing victims, abandoning their colleagues and their alleged commitment to true and ethical reporting. End of Scahill's quote. Back to her quote. By repeating Israel's genocidal fabrications without determining if they have any credibility, Western media outlets have enabled the killing of more journalists in 2 years on one tiny strip of land than in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Yugoslavia, and Ukraine combined.
Okay, and with that, Eric, unfortunately,
we're out of time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, folks are fed up with the lying of the Israeli government and the IDF. This has been Media Watch, folks. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait.
I'm Alan Singer.
And I'm Bob Anthony. Catch up to us on YouTube at Media Watch EVT.
And we'll catch you the next time, folks. Stay safe.